Hi there everyone, it's Paul Thompson, and today we're going to talk about going on a backpacking trip. Just going to run through it essentially end to end as quickly as we can. So first things first, where do we want to go? Are we capable of going there? So we do a little searching, possibly on the Mountaineers website, and we find a trip to Goat Lake. Sounds like a good possibility. Might do some more research after reading about that, and check out WTA and what they have to say about the trip. They got some good trip reports usually, and that's certainly a good indicator. Also, I like to check out the actual characteristics of the trip for myself by looking at a map. So I'll go to my map collection. Oh look, we got Goat Lake here on the top, and take a little look at it and see what the map has to say. And in this case we can see the elevation gain is pretty gradual, pretty straightforward, not a lot of intersections or other complexities, no stream crossings. Okay, so it's a couple days before our trip. We know where we're going, we're all signed up, it's all good to go. So now we're going to need some equipment, and I do like to do this a couple days ahead of time just in case the turns out we're missing something. But I don't tend to do it too soon. And then, so my approach is to go and grab the relevant gear. It is a good idea to use a checklist, certainly, but I've been doing this long enough, and I have my gear organized in such a way that that this works for me. The key point is obviously you don't want to be forgetting something, but at the same time there's just a lot of possibilities, a lot of variables depending upon where you are. So in my case, I have all my gear in the garage here, and so you can kind of see it with the in the back here. We'll take a closer look at a moment. I do have some other gear in my bedroom, some basic clothes, and I have some gear up in the attic here in the garage for sort of secondary stuff that I don't use very often. But most of my stuff is just really right here in this particular area, as we'll see in coming minutes. So now we're going to need some gear. Where do we want to start? It's kind of arbitrary. I'll usually start with the pack itself, and so I'll grab that, and it'll have a fair bit of stuff in it already, just for my previous trips, even for day hikes, conditioning hikes, what have you. I'll have an extra puffy, emergency puffy, sort of emergency gear, like tools and compass, what have you. My day stuff, sunglasses and what have you, things that I'm likely going to need every day. And of course we're going to have more extra clothes. Those are like gloves and so forth. And first aid kit. That's one of my smaller ones, but I do supplement it with some extra stuff here in this pocket. Various sort of first aid bits and pieces. And yet more first aid in here. I also have this sort of for my phone and pen and what have you. Got this one for the snacks. So, and then finally got a chair, because I like to be comfortable when I have a stop. So that's a pretty good starting point all by itself, actually. And so we're good to go from there. But obviously we're going to need more for backpacking. And so in this case, I'm going to start over here with this particular box. This is really my boots and related stuff box. Actually, you need boots on any trip, but there you go. Some nice shiny boots, new boots. Got rain pants, gaiters, things of that sort. On this trip, the weather's looking pretty good, so I don't think I'll need it. Nothing technical, so don't need a helmet, don't need spikes, and so forth. So yeah, we're pretty good to go as far as that stuff goes. And then we just move on to sort of bulkier items. Puffy jacket. I'll pretty much always wear a fleece to start with, but I need a puffy jacket for the evenings, and that's in addition to my emergency puffy jacket. Gonna need an outer shell of some sort, and this time of year, something good, it's nice, so I'll get that. But don't need snowshoes, don't need ice axe, shovel, nothing technical on this trip. Don't expect to bring any dogs with us, don't need any dog stuff. We will need some food, so this is my my food bear canister, and a good starting point for that. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna need food, so that means the food box, which is actually food and water and related items. And so we got extra food, got a stove and fuel and so forth, cooking stuff, so definitely need that. Water filtration there. Nice beverage to go with dinner. Personal items such as toilet paper and so forth. Normally I'll check to make sure I got enough for this trip, but we'll take that as a given at the moment. I could consider using a Ursack, but don't feel like we need one on this trip. It's pretty basic. And then we got other odds and ends. Got a scale if we really want to be particular about weight. Got a little weighing device for the fuel canister, see how full they are. Some extra snack type food, peanut butter, just all kinds of odds and ends. So I'll just do a quick scan through here, see if there's anything that I want on this particular trip. And no, should be good. Got some extra hummus here if we need it, things like that. So yeah, lots of good stuff, but good starting point is that bear canister that we looked at earlier. And so yeah, we'll just open that up, and bags for garbage, that's definitely handy. Some snacks, potatoes for sort of an emergency backup option. Got some oatmeal for breakfast, soup maybe for lunch as well, some tea bags, you know, all kinds of good stuff. For lunch I tend to do buns. Today we'll do bread, some sausage, that tends to last pretty well in the backwoods, and some cheese, and I think we had some mayonnaise deep in the barrel there, canister there, so we're good as far as all that goes. Don't have much in the way of dinner options yet, so often I'll do some naan bread. Don't have that today, but some Mountain House freeze-dried. Again, review the options here and see if there's anything we need to supplement or add in. Maybe some bonus potatoes if we're in the mood, that sort of thing. But before you know it, we've got a pretty good bear canister full of stuff, and so we're good on the food front. So then we can move on to our next box, and this box is really my miscellaneous box, and it's just got all kinds of other stuff. I've got a fleece, well, an outer shell here, but a really small light one. It works really well, but obviously that's for less technical stuff. Extra gloves, hat, that'd be really good in the summer, but this time of year not so important. Just all kinds of plastic bags, various other kinds of bags and holsters, depending upon what I want. Chest headlamp, really small first aid kit if I want to go that route. You know, just all kinds of odds and ends, sunscreen, anything that's miscellaneous that I might need. So this box, yeah, I want to give a fairly good going through to see whether there's anything I want to supplement on this particular trip. In this case, no, I don't think so. I think we're pretty good as far as all that goes. And then that really leaves us with the final one, which is sort of our sleep system solutions. So sleeping bag, yep, definitely want one of those. Pillow, I personally like that. In fact, I'll do a 2-layer pillow if I can afford the weight. Tent, definitely. And then poles for the tent, obviously. Yeah, this is a bivvy, so if I didn't want to do the tent thing, I could do this. That's rare that I'll do that, but you know, on really light outings, long distance, big elevation gain. And then this is sort of an extra, or actually this is my main pad that I use these days, so that's good. Definitely want to have that. Do have a a sleeping bag liner if we want to go that option. Rare I do that. Slippers. Actually, I do really like those on a trip. And then just sort of miscellaneous other things that I might want. Different kinds of poles and stuff. Not likely going to need any of that on this particular trip. So there we go. We've got all kinds of good stuff that we're going to need. Actually, one thing we are missing is water bottles. And so I go over here to the water bottle collection, grab a couple of my favorites. Going to need new water now. And actually, we might check out the 10 essentials list here just to make sure we're not missing anything important. But yeah, with all of that good stuff there, we should be good. So at this point, we're really ready to pack the pack. And there's obviously a system to that. Personally, I start with the tent, or sorry, not the tent, the sleeping bag, which will go in here down at the bottom. And of course, I'll take my time and do it nice and neat and everything, but for now we're just gonna get the basics going. There we go. Getting the tent in, or sorry, sleeping bag in there. And also put a t-shirt and extra pair of socks in there as well, just so I know where to find them. Then bear canister, sort of the bulkiest, heaviest thing, so it goes in next. Down here. There we go. And then I tend to do sort of some of the light, bulky stuff with the pillow, slippers, stuff like that. Actually, I'm going to want the poles in pretty early because they're pretty long. And let's see, and I might do some more of these bags like that. And then, yeah, just carry on putting stuff in like that. Stove usually tends to go in fairly late at the top. Shell might go on the outside if I'm expecting rain, otherwise go on the inside here. And so forth. So we're pretty much packed at that point. Sleeping bag, sorry, in this case tent, goes on the bottom. So, and actually we didn't talk about it earlier, but I do like to bring a pole with me, and that will go out here and wrap around this one, like so. And then the top can come on and over. There you go, he's pretty well packed up. Of course, a little quicker, a little less seriously than usual. Put the poppy on the outside, just in case it might get cold during breaks. And of course, boots I'll wear. And yeah, I don't think we've forgotten anything. Oh, maybe some extra bags, but generally you got the idea. That's what we want, is end up with a pack that looks more or less like this. Of course, we're going to need clothes as well. So the night before, I'll lay out the clothes for the next morning because I don't want to forget anything or be scrambling. Obviously some pants, socks, shirt, underwear probably. Then I'll actually need some clothes for in the pack for the second, third day. So another pair of socks and a shirt. Don't normally do anything more than that. These kinds of pants, they dry out real quick, so you know they're sort of served multiple days. And then coming home clothes, it's just extra pants and stuff, because those clothes might be pretty nasty by the end of the trip. Okay, we're pretty well ready to go on our trip here. Got the Jeep loaded up, and so we're really got everything that we're gonna need. Got the backpack, of course, complete with water bottles and so forth. One thing I didn't mention earlier was like a personal locator beacon. Definitely optional, but it's good to have at least one in a group if possible. Certainly I like to bring mine. And then like a day bag of just particularly an extra water bottle. I like to make sure I'm well hydrated by the time I make it to the trailhead, so got lots of water in there, and those extra clothes that I mentioned for coming back in. You know, depending upon the trip, length of the trip, might bring a magazine to read or snacks to eat and whatever other kind of personal items we want. But really, at this point, we're ready to hit the road. Alright, time to head off to Goat Lake. Of course, under the circumstances, we're only pretending to go to Goat Lake. But you get the idea. Main thing on the main considerations on the way to your destination is certainly be punctual, have the right details. Modern GPS apps actually work really well to get you to trailhead, but nonetheless, you know, have contingency plans. Also, you know, factor in a little bonus time just in case. Better to be early than late. Have details of at least the trip leader so you can contact them if you are going to be late, and so forth. If you're carpooling, not likely this year, but on the other year, make sure that you tell your driver any needs you have, like if you need to stop for coffee or a snack or a bathroom break. It's all good, but you know, if you don't tell us, then we can't accommodate you accordingly, right? So so make sure you do that, and everything should go smoothly. Okay, so we've arrived at the trailhead. A little more built up than you might have expected, but just focus on the trees and the birds and so forth. So when you get to the trailhead, obviously you're going to want to find your trip leader, and you're going to want to get your pack on. It's easier said than done. Depends on how heavily you loaded everything. Make sure you put out your trip pass, your trail pass, and so forth. There we go. And make sure you get all your gear on properly. Don't forget your water bottles, what have you. This is kind of your last chance to check on details like that. There we go. Okay. And then close up the vehicle. Probably best to lock it. So, you know, so at that point, but certainly don't leave anything valuable in your vehicle, because break-ins, trailhead break-ins are pretty common, and certainly happened to me a few times. And so then you're going to want to find your leader and other group members. Obviously, you know, make final gear adjustments for your boots, what have you, and so forth. And then once you get everybody together, then, you know, typical Mountaineers trip, you'll certainly want to have a get together, talk with the leader about what it is you want to do in terms of keeping the group together, who's going to take care of first aid issues if there is any, get to know each other's names, because there'll probably be a few new people on the trip that you haven't met before, talk about sort of goals for the trip and how fast they're going to move, any challenges like stream crossings, intersections, so forth. Reviewing the map is definitely a good idea, so you'll do that. And then once everyone's agreed on all of those points, then you'll head out. So here we go, on our way to Goat Lake. And very scenic, as you can see, lots of good trees and everything. And yeah, quite an enjoyable little trip. Goat Lake itself, you know, 5 miles each way. Could take about 3 hours, typical outing, with a lunch break, a couple of breaks along the way. Stopping for pictures as desired, and then, you know, just as you're going along, just keep it. So here at Goat Lake, we're gonna start by setting up the tent, and then all the related gear. We'll run through it fairly quickly, and there'll be other videos later that focus in on various specific items. But yeah, we'll cover the core general details right now. You don't necessarily have to start with the tent. I often start with my chair, for example, or maybe even have a lunch when you first get to the destination. You know, the order's up to you, obviously. Also, one thing I forgot to mention about the vehicle, like when you're leaving the trailhead, is bring any personal items that would identify you. Obviously, keys, wallet, but even, you know, sort of ID and stuff like that. That might insurance, stuff like that. That might identify you, that the vehicle is associated with your location, your home. Because if you're on the trail, then the bad guys would know that your home has a fairly good chance of being vacant at this time. So yeah, just don't leave anything valuable there. Anyways, let's do the tent. And so early on we're going to need the holes, which means breaking open the pack in my case. Of course, if it was raining while this was happening, then you might like to set up a tarp over top of everything. That'd be bonus. Of course, I can get more weight. Either that or have like a nice garbage bag or something like that, where you can put things into when they're outside of your pack, but not ready to go into the tent just yet. So there's ways to deal with that kind of issue. It's not as big a problem as you might seem sometimes, but definitely a risk that someday you'll have to set up your tent in the rain. So now I close a hole. Seems like every tent is different as to how it's set up. The basics are similar, where you have these poles that almost self-assemble, and you might have one or two or three, unless you're using like a hiking pole as your main pole. And somehow they go into the corners of the tents and give it some structure. Ourselves a tent. Rain fly priority is debatable. Personally, I pretty much always put the rain fly on because it gives you some privacy, even if you're not expecting rain. The of course, tent pegs as well. I find most places in the Pacific Northwest have got pretty good ground for putting up a tent. Sand can be a little tricky in that it's really loose, and of course there are certainly rocky places where you just can't find any place to put your tent. But yeah, you know, pretty much always you should secure it with pegs, because you never know when wind is going to come along, and sometimes much more dramatic than you might expect either. So after that, I tend to do sleeping bag and sleeping pad, and of course there's a wide variety of sleeping pads out there. I do like a 2/3 body length, so I'm not wasting space and so forth. Which of course means that my feet don't have anything underneath them in terms of the pad, but it's easy enough to put other things underneath, like extra clothes, outer shell, Some people do the pack itself, things like that. So whatever. In my case, that's one of these. What is it called? Nemo Tensor Insulated Mummy 20S. You know, so it does the job pretty nice. One thing you want to worry about is things pads that make noise. Some of them in recent years have been just atrocious. You want to avoid that if you can. There you go, not too bad to fill up, and you know, obviously fill it according to your own personal likes. I overinflate by just a little bit because it's easy to let air out in the middle of the night, but I certainly don't fill it up full because then it'd be too firm and everything. And these things are, you know, pretty thick, so they'll keep you nice and comfy, even under fairly cold conditions. Okay, then from there, puffy jacket. I'm not wearing it. Definitely want it in the tent, keep it dry, but also, of course, it's nice and comfortable. My chair, I'll assemble that very early on because it's nice to sit in that rather than on the ground as I'm doing here. But I'm doing that mainly just so I'm in frame. This chair is about £1. Some people would say that's a silly luxury, a waste of energy, but I do not agree. It's worth every ounce of it. Although, you know, they're on really challenging trips, I won't bring it with me, but you know, I tend to only do a couple of those per year. The rest of the time, definitely bringing the chair. Personal items, want to keep that fairly close to the front of the tent. Pillow, obviously goes where it goes. Water filter and other food items I like to keep pretty close to each other because you tend to use them at the same time, not surprisingly. Slippers. It depends upon the plan for the trip. I may put those on early on, but if we're heading out soon for a afternoon outing, then I'll just keep the boots on for now. Water, of course, goes close to the food supplies and everything. Go there. Go there. Also, you do want to think about entertainment options. Your phone is wonderful for that. I am a big believer in videos and stuff, and audiobooks, podcasts, what have you. But also, you know, physical, like book or magazine. I'm personally a huge fan of The Economist, not only because it's interesting reading, but also very efficient from a backpacking point of view. Not too much advertising, lots of meaty words. So, you know, I can read one of these in an hour, or I can read one of these in 10 hours, depending upon how closely I want to pay attention. And, you know, so if you got a lot of downtime on your trip, that could be really very nice and enjoyable. Let's see what else we got. Sometimes the first aid kit we make accessible, just in case all the other bags and what have you. So let me kind of arrange all that a little bit. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Here's my setup at Goat Lake. Pretty much ready to be used as we would really use it. I don't have the rain fly on just yet, of course, just so that you can see, but it also helps with setup. Easier to work in the inside of the tent without the rain fly on. So obviously we got the tent itself, got our sleeping environment ready to go, clothes and stuff down at the bottom, and so forth. Outside we've got sort of secondary bags on under the vestibule, or what will be the vestibule once we put the rain fly on. Got our food related stuff ready to go for dinner time. This is like a bag of bags, so as I'm taking things out of bags, I put them all into one bag, and it makes it easy to find them at the end. I just toss it back there. And then up here I got the things I'm most likely to use, personal items and day items, just you know, in case I need them at some point. Want to put on sunglasses, want to visit facilities, whatever. So that's all good. We'll look a little closer at food in a moment, but for now let's get inside the tent here. Down at the bottom you'll notice I got all my extra layers, as I mentioned earlier. Those will go under my feet, but they're also readily available if I need them in the evening, for example, but also they'll stay dry because they'll be in the tent. Got my slippers ready to go for when I want to do that. And then up here I got the business end of the tent, the sleeping side. So like I said earlier, 2 pillows is my preference if I can afford the weight and volume. Otherwise I'll take some of these bags or maybe the slippers or something and use that under the main pillow. I do have kind of a pillowy pillow because it just feels great. Like so, right? Again, volume, but it's important to me. Weight-wise, not too bad. And then, let's see, up here I've got a headlamp, and it's, you know, very accessible, very known position, nothing else there to clutter it and everything. So when I need it in the middle of the night for whatever crazy reason, it's definitely where I expected it to be. Bonus is that up here I've got a little sort of night light that's kind of a backup option, but also just sort of gives a little bit of ambiance as I'm settling in. Normally up here at the end I'd have the phone, but I'm using that as my recording device right now, but that's where I'd watch videos or listen to audiobooks or something. Got my magazine ready to go, with my eyeglasses that I certainly need for reading. Over here in this little pocket, I don't tend to put too much in here, but yeah, definitely I want to have eye shades and earplugs. Earplugs for noise, obviously. Eye shades in case there's an early sunrise. I don't tend to sleep well with either of those, so that's good. Kleenex ready, so chances are I will need to blow my nose at some point. Also the fleece that I generally wear through the day, if it's colder anyways, I actually like to put on underneath the pillows. That way I can, if I stretch out my arms, I'm not having arms on cold ground. They're on the fleece, which is actually kind of comfy. So it's all good. Sleeping bag and pad in the middle here, of course. And with all that done, I'm really set for the night. If you're the nervous kind and you want to have a knife ready to go, you might put that over in the top right corner there. Just so it's, again, in a known spot and it won't get lost or whatever, and you'll find it in the dark when you need it. And then, of course, if I happen to forget something, I can reach out into the vestibule, get some water, get any extra gear. You know, if my headlamp dies for some reason, I've got another headlamp in here, or if I need, you know, another hat. I mentioned the hat thing. The hat and gloves are here. That's definitely important if it gets colder in the night. I don't tend to layer up too much as far as clothing goes, but that's it. The chair I will put away at night so it doesn't go blowing if the wind comes along. And the bear canister I'll put at a discreet distance from the tent, so if the bear does get interested, he won't be interested in my tent at the same time. And that's really about it. It's tent-wise. Okay, now for the all-important dinner time. Or lunchtime, of course. I like to start with the bear canister. One of the reasons bear canister is great is because you can put up your feet on it, or you can use it as a table. You know, so that's part of the reason I bring a bear canister as opposed to the Ursack. You know, obviously personal choices. Then I'll pull out the food, whatever food options I want at this particular time, and have those on the ready to go. Bring out the cooking system. So with that, I try to keep everything together. Got a nice long spoon, works well with the Mountain House Got a stove. Lots of choices of stoves. I like that one because it's small and easy and what have you. I do tend to bring a couple of cups with me. For instance, in the morning I'll have porridge in this one, and I'll have tea in that one at the same time. Obviously, if I did want them in sequence, then I'd only need one cup, but that's just the way I like to roll. And then here in the rest of the bag, I've got a guard for the stove. That's definitely handy under windy circumstances, not too terribly heavy. Got a pot, and really I just use that for boiling water. It's very rare that food goes in there. And then I got fuel. Before I would head out, I'd listen to it, I'd shake it, or I'd weigh it to make sure it's got enough. Of course, if it's brand new. One of these I find is probably good for 3 or 4 days. If it's full, there's bigger ones that need even more, and half of one of these easily does a day or two. So anyway, so we're all set there. In my case, we just pull up the stove. We make sure the valve is closed. Attach it to the fuel. Rotate it a few times. And poof, there we go. We're ready. And water. Don't want that in our stove. Yeah, wine. It's dinner time. And of course, if we're not doing anything interesting afterwards, we'll keep our wits about us. But if we're just having a leisurely evening, a wee bit of wine isn't going to hurt anything, in my humble opinion. And then I have a little bag here with lighters. I always bring 2 lighters and matches, because as you may have guessed by now, I don't worry too much about weight. I try to have good contingency plans. So anyways, in this case, just simply turn on the fuel, turn on the lighter, more or less at the same time, and we should be good to go. The wind is kicking up, so we'll see how interesting this gets. Bad. Another use for a bear canister. Put it on the other side of the wind. And put the pot on there. Lid on the pot. We do have a towel here to try and clean things. And it doesn't seem too bad right now. So there we go. We're cooking. And once we have the boiling water, then we pour it into the mountain house. Let it sit for 5-10 minutes, and in the meantime have some snacks and maybe some tea, definitely some wine at dinner time, and have a wonderful conversation with my fellow backpackers. Might throw on an extra layer of clothing as the evening goes on to cool off, because it cools off. If it's getting close to darkness, I'd grab the headlamp and at least put that over my neck so that if darkness sneaks up on me, I've got my light source with me. And then when all's done, put it all away, make sure we're buttoned up nicely for the night, and then hit the sleeping bag. And in most cases, I'll actually hit the sleeping bag around 8 o'clock. I may not sleep until 9 or 10, but after a long day of hiking and what have you, it really is nice to get out there and or to get a little rest, do some reading, watch some videos, whatever. I enjoy the company of my fellow backpackers, but sometimes you just need to stretch out and mellow out, what have you, and that's my style. Anyways, some of this we'll talk about in more details in the following videos. Hope you found it useful. The packing up and going home is pretty much the reverse of what we've already talked about. So no point in going through all of that. The one thing I'll say about heading back is just, try to follow the same guidance. Be punctual. Don't make the rest of your team wait. Make sure you get up at an early enough time in the morning to have your breakfast at a leisurely pace as you might like. and then get your gear together, and better to be early than late. And yeah, and then also while you're in camp, you know, if you're going to go any distance of substance from the camp itself, like where your tents are, be sure to tell your leader and or your fellow backpackers, just so that if you don't come back in a timely manner, they have a clue as to where you're going. And you know, if you're going to go anywhere substantial, any good leader will ask you to take a buddy and or take the 10 essentials, and just make sure you're good to go as far as all that kind of stuff goes. So yeah, so I hope you found that useful, and we'll talk again. Wind is picking up here, so I better make sure my tent is well guyed down. Good day for now.